So, I'm here with a bit of an update on how these plants are going so far. It's the final day of April, which means we're about to go into the very last month of autumn before it really starts to cool down really quickly. This April has already been a very cold April. We in fact took out the low for April twice this month, once at the beginning of the month. In fact, just a few days after I shot the video of having moved all of these plants under cover, one of those records was broken and we had a negative 2.6 degree morning with a very severe frost, and just last week we had a negative 2.7 degree morning. We've had temperatures below zero on the majority of days for the last fortnight, and so far most of these are holding up okay, with the exception of a couple. This is one that I showed you in the first video. I wasn't sure if it was a lychee or if it was a soursop. Whatever it is kaput. This one was expected to pass away anyway, as did its friend, who I've already replaced its pot with another plant. Guava behind here, no problems at all. This is a new plant that wasn't actually in my collection at the time of the first video. This is an imbe, and it's doing alright so far. Macadamia, no trouble at all. Brazilian cherry, doing just fine. White sapote, not a problem at all. Still have some new growth coming on. This lychee here, not looking so crash hot. Some of these leaves are showing some signs of pain, not appreciating the cold weather at all. There's a few plants here like this, and I'm thinking of a way that I could add an extra degree of cold protection. It's only April, it's only going to get colder, and if this is having trouble now, it's going to really have trouble in a month and 2 months from now. This Japoticaba, similarly, these leaves not looking so great right now. Now they feel okay, so they don't feel crispy, but they've definitely had a change in colour, and to me it doesn't look necessarily like a very healthy change in colour. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Maybe it's just turns a little bit more scarlet colour in the cold. I don't know. The other Japoticabas seem to be handling it differently. This one here is fine. Might be a bit chloriotic. I've heard that they like acidic soil, so I might actually treat this soil with some acid of some sort to get the pH down a little bit. Got another Japoticaba here. Again, doesn't have that leaf discoloration, seems to be doing alright. This white sapote has had a bit of sadness around its leaves. Not certain why. The other sapotes, white sapotes, seem to be fine, like the one we just saw here with new growth. We have another white sapote here, hasn't had a problem at all. This white sapote is having a bit of leaf discoloration as well. This one is a seedling, as is the other one over there. I don't know if that makes a difference. It could just be different. A seedling with less cold tolerance than maybe one of the grafted varieties. This white sapote here, no trouble at all. Lots of great fresh growth still going on. This is also a seedling, so it's difficult to tell what the difference is. Babaco, doing fine. Leaves look fine. This banana has lost a leaf, although having a look at the top of the stem, to me it looks more like trauma, perhaps from when I moved the plant rather than frost damage. I reshuffled a few of these Rolinias around, so this Rolinia has had a bit of sadness. Oops, there's a bit of sadness around the leaf. So I've kind of moved it back towards the wall a little bit. Does still have new growth on here that doesn't look burnt. Cherimoya behind it looks much better. No damage on that so far. The bananas are starting to show some pain on their leaves. So these are the older leaves in the plants. You can see that bit of brown fraying around the edges. Get a bit of yellowing in here. This is the banana we saw in my first video. This is the Grand Man. Inside, however, it's still producing healthy green leaves, even though some of these leaves are approaching the top of, and in fact nearly touching the top of the patio. Even those leaves are still mostly green. That banana behind that we're looking at here, this one is a ladyfinger, and that actually seems to be doing a little bit better. We'll step around the other side in a minute and have a look at that. We have a Hass avocado you didn't see in the other video. This survived under this patio no problem last year, so I don't see why it wouldn't again. It's putting on some new growth. It does have a bit of a curl to the leaves. This plant seems to be doing fine to me. An acha-cha. Can't see any damage on the leaves. These ones I've pushed up with close to the wall in this water heater, which actually doesn't put off much heat, but it's got to help a little bit. These are both acha-cha. These leaves were yellowing at the top before they were moved here, so this isn't a new development since the cold. This has just already been like that. They are attached, they're not loose, so maybe it's just a bit chloriotic, I'm not sure. Another banana leaf down here, as you can see, is in pretty poor condition coming off this stem here. That might have been coming off anyway, I don't know. In here, this is one that you didn't see in the first video. This one's in a wine barrel planter with a lot of crops around the sides like clovers and alyssium. This one here is a madrona, which is supposedly more hardy than the acha-cha. It's not looking, it looks green in my camera view here, but it looks okay. It looks just okay. It doesn't look like it's thriving to me. It looks like it's just getting by. Another Rollinia that I just moved into a bit deeper into the center of these plants here. Got some discoloration on the leaves down here. One of these Rollinias from the front that I moved back wasn't looking particularly crash hot to start with. I think this one might be that particular Rollinia. Got a mango behind here. This is the one from the front that was flowering. It's still got older green leaves on it. Leaves on the bottom, a little bit less dark green colour, but they seem to be doing alright. Still trying to flower. It's a little bit silly, but I'll leave flowers on there. Black sapote, fine so far, nothing to report. Just noticing this plant here, which is another Japoticaba. This is a large leaf. This one does have some redder leaf colours, similar to this one that I was talking about earlier. So that's interesting. I wonder if these do look like fresh new leaves though, whereas these are older leaves. It does have a leaf up here that's got a bit of discolouring, I don't know. Japoticaba, we'll see how it goes. Stepping through the maze of pots over here. Jambolan plum, this is one that I just potted up in my video last week, so that's brand new in the ground, as are these lipstick plants. I had no idea what these lipstick plants were when I watered them the other day, but they are a plant that comes from South America, and you can cut the fruit, and inside are these little red pellet-like flesh, which can be used to stain things red, and it used to be used for things like face painting, war painting, anything that needs to be stained a deep, almost blood red colour. And they can be eaten as well, and they can be used as lipstick if you real need. One of these blue Java bananas again. This one here, it's got some kind of fading around the leaf here. I'm not certain if that's due to the cold or if that was due to me mistreating it before it was moved out here. It hasn't developed further. It's been like that for about a week now. This is another subtropical, which I think I showed you already. This is the grumachama. Looking fine. This is my other mango. This one has dropped some leaf. In these seeds pots here, I'd planted some seeds from a custard apple that I bought at the markets. I think I got them in the ground in the pots far too young. They're none of them have come up. And even worse, I got my hands on some cherimoya seeds, which I put in at the same time, and none of those have come up. It's been about 3 weeks now, so that's disappointing to me. This is a new addition that wasn't in my original video. This is a peanut butter fruit. Looks to be doing fine, and I've put that just rested in another pot. I mistakenly called this a Rollinia in my first video. This one is actually, and I believe they call it an ox heart. It's in the same family as the cherimoyas and the Rollinia, and they in fact look very, very similar. If you see these leaves, it'd be difficult to tell them apart. This one here is meant to produce a large fruit that can taste potentially yogurty, which is interesting to me. And on the label here, they actually call it a Brazilian custard apple, whereas they call the Rollinias Mexican custard apples, I believe. Behind that, this is the other cherimoya that I got. This one's not looking as great as the first one that I had, which is a little bigger. It's doing okay. It was already one of those ones that was in a partially saleable condition that was sent through to me, so it's not surprising that it's not doing as well as the one that I'd had in a pot for a few weeks longer. This one here, another black sapote, chocolate pudding fruit. These ones here looked like they were suffering. These were actually in my original video as dead sticks. I since bought some new ones, and their name always escapes me until a few minutes pass. They produce a small cherry-like fruit. They form hedges. They'll come to me, but they were looking like they were suffering, but I actually think it might have been because of the sun coming through rather than the cold, so I moved them under this bench for a bit more shade. Another new addition. This is a star fruit or a carambola. This one here is actually doing okay. The leaves that you can see that are kind of damaged on this one happened in transport, and it dried out a little bit when it was potted, so that's what that's from. This one here is also a new addition. This is a canistel or an egg fruit. At the moment it's doing fine. This one I think is going to be very, very difficult to get through without some additional protection. I have it snuggled right in the back here against the wall, but we'll see if that's enough. Another achacha, doing just fine currently. Perched upon that, another one of those Brazilian cherries, I believe, and behind that we have an avocado. And just arrived today. Didn't even move it from its pot that it came in from Daly's. This is a Wampy, and obviously it hasn't even spent one night in the cold yet, so we'll see how that goes. The white guava, looking fine. So that's a bit of an update for you guys. I know we're still in autumn, It's interesting to see that the majority of these plants have handled negative 2.6, negative 2.7, just under cover. So this is all open on the sides. There's nothing here except this single cover which keeps the frost off the plants. But it does very little to actually alleviate the cold. So I'm not sure how cold it gets when it's 2.7 forecast by the weather. I don't know how cold it gets under this patio here. I think it might even pick up a little thermometer to keep a hold of the temperature, maybe the humidity here as well, just to see what sort of protection this is providing and to see how cold tolerant these plants actually can be. Although I am going to add, I think, some extra layers of protection just so that they don't all die, or I can save as many as possible over the next few months. Thanks for watching, guys.